Welcome to Pharmacy View, Technology and Pharmacy Business podcast series, where we provide regular interviews with pharmacists and key industry people within the Australian pharmacy and associated industry. In each podcast, we look to discuss aspects of pharmacy operation and how technology is improving or interacting with each guest's current role or pharmacy-related business. I'm your host, Scott Carpenter, and today's guest is sponsored by Shopfront Solutions, leading the way in digital marketing and communications, providing a cloud-based platform for pharmacies to manage all of their digital messaging and print-based collateral. For more information on the Shopfront Solutions digital platform, simply go to the website at shopfrontsolutions.com.au. Welcome to Pharmacy View, Technology in Business podcast series, where we provide regular interviews with pharmacists and key people within the Australian pharmacy and associated industry. My guests today are West Australian pharmacist and Director of EasyDose, Noel Fosbery, and CEO co-founder at StrongRoom AI, Max Mito. And we're here today to talk about the merge of their two pharmacy business platforms and what this means for pharmacy clients and future customers. Today, as we've already introduced Max in a previous episode, I thought we really should focus on our new guest, and who is Noel Fosbery.
Well, hello everyone. I am a pharmacist from Perth, lived here all my life, and I've been a pharmacist for 40 years. An owner for about 34 years of that. Done a few things in my time. I'm an ARPA examiner and really enjoy that role, occasionally helping out with the newer oncoming pharmacists. I was honoured with the West Australian and the Australian Pharmacist of the Year in 2016, which was, got to be honest, a shock to the system. Always been a keen early adopter of technology, installed the first row of Emacs into WA, and I now have two in two of my three pharmacies. And there's some exciting news for ROA owners who use StrongRoom Controlled Drug Register as well. We're moving to be able to store controlled drugs in the ROA, which as we know is not legal at the moment, and to use StrongRoom to be able to pull it out of the ROA as part of the process of actually writing up drug entry. It expels the drug from ROA. So that's coming along probably within the next few months, I think. Is that correct, Max?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and we're very excited about that partnership as well.
So my motto has always been do it right, do it once, and use technology a lot to do that. So I use things like RoboForm or 1Passwords. There's a product called Trello and another one called Slack that we use for communication. Trello is a great tool for integrating all the information coming into the store, emails, faxes, they all come to one point and you can actually search them. So that helps a lot with people, with our inundation of people in the last few years going, the doctor sent a prescription, and which way, there's so many ways. So I still work at the coalface a few days a week. So I'm able to watch and see what's happening in these new processes. In some ways they're getting more complicated, but eventually once we get used to them, I think they'll make life easier. And also I've always been a passionate supporter of the opioid therapy programs in Australia because I think they do a great deal for harm minimisation. And I think it's part of our duty as pharmacists to actually participate
in that. And I think that's probably a good segue then into the EasyDose program. Can you talk about the journey involved there?
Yeah, so about 10 years ago, we were using a very crude form of EasyDose to record our opioid therapy program entries, keeping a track of all those things that EasyDose does so well. Three of us, Phil Willis, who is also a pharmacist over here, Steve Verkerk, who's a programmer, and myself. The state government were offering an incentive to pharmacists, cash incentive, to move to an electronic register. So we were able to capitalise on that and actually create what is now EasyDose version 2. We rebuilt it, released it, and we also integrated into each state. So it's basically just like StrongRoom, it's actually 6 programs in one because you've got to have different things for different jurisdictions.
Yeah.
We built it to reflect existing workflows. That's something that we were really keen on, to make sure that pharmacists would be able to just go in and use it as though they were using their normal paper-based systems, but and give it as much flexibility as we possibly could. And we've found people have been very receptive to that. They get up and running on it very quickly.
So you mentioned there across the 6 states, WA would be a major market for you. What would they rate after?
We've really only got a handful in the states, so probably 90% WA. Yeah, we've got a few people over there and have uses of it, as if something goes wrong with the printer or something, someone's changed some settings or something, it's a big need to make sure that it's all up and running. And, this is actually one of the first reasons that we wanted to transition, is that we know that, there's only really three of us and Steve's the only one really can fix. So it's a very limited base. If something does go wrong, then we really didn't have a leg to stand on as far as fallback, and that would affect our customers. So this goes into why we're transitioning. One of the reasons was that we didn't feel we had the physical backup to be able to do that. So we knew we needed someone to help us along and actually move forward. And then last year we were rung up out of the blue by Max, and he explained who he was. We had heard of StrongRoom. We'd heard some good things about it. They said they wanted to merge with us, take us on board, merge our customers into their database, have us on board as advisors. So that's really where we're at.
Yeah, so if I can just say that back to you then. So the product itself was in its conception to today about 10 years old. Government grant to actually get some technology bases on that, predominantly based in WA, but with some clients here on the Eastern Seaboard. And you got to a point, it's understood that kind of a backup or redundancy plan, or look at another alternative. And while all of that was happening, you got a phone call out of the blue from Max. Was that a phone call out of the blue, Max, or did you know something?
It was actually Mark that reached out initially and set up the meeting.
True.
We had a hard time, I think, trying to get towards our EasyDose customers, but no, more importantly, we heard really good things. In all seriousness, we heard really good things about Noel, about Phil, and the company that EasyDose had. And with the background that Noel has with his career, with Phil's career, and with Steve's career as well, we recognized that there was a knowledge gap within StrongRoom itself that those three could really bring into the company. As an example, with this grower integration that's coming through, that was actually something that Noel pushed through StrongRoom. So there's many projects that are hopefully going to be coming up. And essentially with this new collaboration, we think that we can not only accelerate our product roadmap, but build a more robust system, really following Noel's motto of doing it once and doing it right.
Yeah.
So,
and look, on that basis too, I've said this in a couple of podcasts and during my journey in the pharmacy arena, is that there's a lot of great technology been established and set up in Western Australia that has transitioned east in a big way, some of it obviously in a smaller way. But, anyone listening today, never underestimate what's going on in Western Australia, because there's every chance that it's being done there and you just may not know about it, and it could even be being done better than what you're experiencing here. But secondly, Max, from your point of view, what I enjoyed about the discussion we've had so far is that there's obviously some partnership coming on board here, because the reciprocal side of things with Western Australia is businesses and technology platforms will be much more successful in Western Australia if you've got someone on the ground there. And in this case, it looks like you've snagged a couple of good pharmacists that are well known in the industry over there. So where to from here? What happens now?
Yeah, so just one thing we want to really make clear is that for us, what was really important as part of this merger was that it's not us just taking over the customer base of EasyDose and then that's it. So Noel, Steve, and Phil will be with StrongRoom and be joining as part of the team. So that's a really important part, and it was an important aspect of the deal for us that they stay on with us and we collaborate, and we're very excited about that collaboration. As Noel earlier mentioned, he's already using the tools that we use internally at StrongRoom to manage feedback as well as communicate. So the transition has been easy so far, and expected for that to happen. So look, in the future, we really want to get our expertise in technology with the industry experience that Noel, Phil, and Steve have, and really keep building great products, keep bringing value to our customers, ensuring that the future of pharmacy is continuously efficient, but also improves patient outcomes.
One of the things that I was really impressed with Max and his crew is that they are really open to suggestions, and they clearly have a very good handle on the new technologies like artificial intelligence that are coming through. Things we old fossil pharmacists never even dreamed we could do, things that are happening in this space, and they've really impressed us. One, with that outlook to innovation, and secondly, their willingness to take on board information and advice and things from people who are actually on the ground doing the job. So that's really one of our roles, is to actually see the practicalities of how our workflows work. And then they tell us, well, why are you doing it that way? You should do it this way. And you go, okay, yeah, that'd be a good idea. Because it's things we never think of, of the way things work. So The future in our space is of all software, as we've seen over the last 2 years with eScripts and My Health Record and My Script List and all of these things. The future's in integration, connectivity and customer communication, MedAdvisor, all these products, they take a long time to produce, which means a lot of expense. That's something that one of the things we couldn't do at EasyDose. So we're really impressed with them. We've enjoyed the process so far, and we're looking forward to working collaboratively with everybody in their group.
So on that note, if someone listening today is an existing EasyDose customer, what kind of transition or changes might they expect?
Well, we're looking at changes over the next really 18 months. So start out with some of the people with less clients, then gradually as we work through those things, what we found with it when we developed EasyDose was as we expanded, especially into different states, different people had different expectations of the software. So we gradually improved things within the software to cope with the way people work on an everyday basis. So some people have different ways of collecting money and how they do, they might give a discount for a week. That's really important that we make sure that the capabilities of the program match what's already in EasyDose and exceed it. And also, the first pharmacies to be done will be what we've already started, moving it into my own pharmacies so that we can actually closely monitor how things are going, because there will be differences, and rest assured all EasyDose customers will be either as well off or better off after the transition than before.
And I think that was the key point that I took out of that, was that you'd reached a point with EasyDose where you said, well, we need to do something here or move on. And the connection with Max and StrongRoom, you're obviously suitably impressed enough to say this is where we need to go. There's a level of youth and knowledge here that I'll quote yourself, the old fossil pharmacist. I'm not sure that's quite true, but you do. You've got a product that's absolutely working very, very well, but not necessarily the bandwidth in your own mind as to, well, what do we do with it now? And it's absolutely the partnership with the younger pharmacists and the younger tech heads these days. I think I've mentioned this a couple of times before. I've got a 30-year-old son who's in the IT arena, and I love catching up with him because the conversations we have about what he's up to these days is what broadens my mind from that perspective as well. So, if anyone listening today that's not sure where they're at, either get in contact with myself and I can put you in contact with some other people that are working in this space, or just ask around, because there's a new way of thinking that's coming. And I actually just digress one little bit. I caught up with a couple of elderly IT people the other day, and it was the first time I've heard them say that they're redundant in the IT arena because they don't know today. Like, they were experts in their time, but probably 30 or 40 years ago, but they don't know today what the likes of a Max knows, which I thought was a really interesting comment. Is that a fair one, Max?
It's really interesting because you see various languages come and go, and you see an evolution of programming languages. The industry is moving so fast that even within our own team, our initial tech stack from 3 years ago is now pretty much redundant with our version 3 that's coming up. So look, for us, we've got, as Noel said, even though we might have the knowledge around programming, etc., it's really about the application of that technology. I mean, the way that, for example, we view AI and the applications of it is that it's another tool in the toolbox to be able to achieve some of the automation that's been promised by technology for so long. And really, what we get out of having Noel, the EasyDose directors, Noel and the rest of them, from joining the team, is that expertise on how it works. And I think that there's still, even though some of the older IT guys might feel like their job is redundant, as an example, essentially there's still a lot that they bring in terms of project delivery, IT infrastructure, in terms of the way that you structure the platform. So there's still a need for both generations to really speak and collaborate on solutions, because ultimately you can have the best tech in the world, but if it's not right for that particular problem, it's useless. So
I've noticed over the year, especially the last probably 15 years, really since the iPhone came out, I guess, the simpler something is to use, the more complex the workings behind it seem to be. That's what happens with this stuff. It gets complex behind, so that the user experience is simple and easy and straightforward.
Like, if we look even at facial recognition and what it brings to the table, before that technology came about, the process to verify individuals can become quite an arduous process, where you might upload a photo, verify their name, and just then get their date of birth. So you have a 3-step process in just verifying someone at times. Now in the iPhone, for example, you've got your facial recognition aspect and it just opens towards the right user. So that's just one example of it.
So on that note, so if we go back to Noel, your existing EasyDose customers, so 18 months of transition over the next period of time. You're starting with your own pharmacies to make sure that any little bugs in the system are ironed out. In the short term, if you're an EasyDose client, I've obviously still got the same contact numbers or the same contacts, and that will just transition through. Max, I'm imagining there's not necessarily any major changes for StrongRoom customers today, except to say that you've just grown your client base. And so if there's someone listening today that's not already using this platform or would be interested, what's the future look like now for them?
So yeah, for new customers, we've got essentially a few additional modules that are coming out. Just quickly going on the EasyDose, for us, we understand that with COVID and the various variants that have come through, it has put a strain on pharmacies. So for us, what's really important about this move over the next 18 months is to make sure that the transition happens when the EasyDose clients feel like they're the most ready, and we're not going to be looking to rush anybody over. So part of that, we're going to be keeping pricing in place as well. So there's no changes to that. And what we're also doing as part of a welcome package to EasyDose customers, we are going to be giving one of our modules for free for 12 months, which is the DD book or the drug register module. Now, for new customers that are coming in, obviously what we're going to be having as part of this, so part of our product roadmap this year is aged care and hospitals and those extensions. So that's going to be another example of us consolidating. And again, Noel has had a lot of experience with aged care facilities as well. So again, this is another example of that collaboration where we're really enhancing the product experience.
That's excellent. So we're coming to the end of our time. Is there any other points on your list, gentlemen, that we haven't covered off?
Probably only that if there's an EasyDose customer out there who's keen to switch over early, get in contact, we can arrange that. And as Max said, they get the controlled drug register for free for 12 months with that. What about stage supply, Max? Is that on the
Yes, stage supply is part of the package as well.
So it becomes a completely integrated package with the 3 items all linked together and also linked to your dispensing system, which is something that EasyDose never really had. So that's, to pull it all together. If you want to actually do that now, then we are ready to flip you over if you'd like to do that.
Gents, that sounds really exciting. I really love the fact that you've got 2 platforms with somewhat the same aim coming together to actually create a newer version of both of your platforms, I guess, ultimately, which is great. The fact that it's technology that's ultimately, there'll be a little bit of work transitioning through, but ultimately making the life of the pharmacist easier. I'm not sure how much easier in this day and age, because it still surprises me the amount of technology that's coming through that you guys have to deal with. But I guess you've got a formula yourselves that sorts the wheat out from the chaff as such. So I'm sure that'll happen. But it's been great to chat today. I look forward to watching this journey and seeing what's going on. And really thank you for your time.
Scott,
thanks for having us, Scott.
My pleasure.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you for listening today. Pharmacy View is a technology-focused podcast provided by Melbourne-based business Arian Technologies and Shopfront Solutions. Over the podcast series, our guests include pharmacists, retail managers, wholesalers, suppliers, and industry technology partners. If you would like further information on our podcast series or to participate in one of our episodes, feel free to send me a message or touch base through the Pharmacy View website, pharmacyview.com.au.